Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back. Today, I have a very special guest who I'm so excited to talk with. Her name is Dr. Krystal Sodatis, and she is a board-certified physician, fellowship trained in academic general pediatrics. She transitioned, from academic medicine to working for a health insurance company over 7 years ago, and is currently a senior director for a Fortune 500 healthcare company. In this role, she manages 6 other physicians and spearheads the Physician Wellness and Coaching Program. In March of 2019, Krystal completed a certification in life and weight coaching from the Life Coach School and launched Life Coaching for Gifted. Early this year, she certified in advanced physician coaching and is currently working on her advanced leadership coaching certification. Krystal thinks of herself as a healthcare executive, a coach, pediatrician, wife, and mother, and a lifelong learner. Before coaching, externally she seemed to have it all figured out, yet was filled with self-doubt, disappointment, self-hatred, and imposter syndrome. All that changed when she found coaching. She coaches herself every day and gets regular coaching. She uses thought work as a leadership tool to lead her team and to nurture the leader within. Krystal lives with her husband, 3 daughters, and 85-year-old father. She believes we all have intrinsic gifts and struggles. She finds joy in coaching and personal development work, the quiet mornings, a hot cup of coffee, and the first dip into a piping hot tub. These things keep her grounded when the beautiful chaos that ensues in her household threatens to overwhelm her. Again, I'm so thrilled to be talking with Krystal today. Hi, Krystal.
Hi, thanks for that introduction. It was beautiful and perfect. Yes, and that is me. That is
Thank
absolutely
you.
me.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. So you have done a lot of personal development work,
Yes.
and your main focus right now is coaching. So you're helping others find their joy.
Yeah.
So please, I'm so curious to know what led you to do this work.
Well, what led me to it, I kind of got into it in the back door. So what led me to coaching was that I saw it as a development tool, as a leadership tool. I, wanted to progress in my job, and I saw specifically how the tools that the Life Coach School teaches, how they can be incorporated into someone's leadership style, and how that would help me to be promoted and then ultimately be the best manager and best leader that I could be. So I got certified with that goal in mind. And then along the way, and before I even got certified, I wasn't really doing any of the thought work that went along with coaching, right? That the Life Coach School teaches. But when I started my certification, I said, I'm doing this 100%. Like, I'm going all in, I'm getting everything I can out of it. And through that process, I realized how effective it was at changing everything, right? It wasn't just about getting promoted. It was really, looking at my own thought processes and what do I think about my job? What do I think about the people I manage? Like I said, like my sometimes chaotic house, my relationship with my parents, my husband, all of that. And so I realized I just saw the power of coaching and, really thinking about and working on your own thoughts. And then as I was exploring what population I wanted to coach, early on, I didn't think I wanted to coach physicians. I have a lot of experience with the gifted community. My daughter is gifted. And so I saw the struggles that especially older gifted people, adolescents and young adults go through. And so that was initially, and why I started Life Coaching for Gifted that was sort of where I initially wanted to focus my coaching.
Okay, right. So in your work with others, what patterns have you noticed that why people aren't experiencing more joy in their lives?
You know, one of the most common patterns is that people beat themselves up. They think that by speaking to themselves harshly, that somehow that is going to drive them to do better.
Okay.
That if I just treat myself badly enough,
Mhm.
somehow I'm going to reach that goal. I'm going to be successful. And it never works. And even those times that you are able to, let's say, push yourself and drive yourself to an outcome, to get a degree, to, save money for that, whatever you want, car, house, vacation. If you do it from a place of self hatred and scarcity, your experience of that, of whatever that goal is, it's really, in a lot of ways, very empty because you hated yourself to that point. As opposed to if you have a goal, and whether it's financial or something that's more intangible, like a degree, if you love yourself to that goal, the outcome for you is just so much better.
So where do you think that comes from, this pattern of self-hatred or being negative self-talk? Where do you think that comes from, or why do people do that?
I think it's ingrained in us. I think that it comes from very early on, right? And that, I mean, parents, well intentioned say, hey, you have to study hard, you have to get good grades. How come you didn't do your homework? No one's gonna, you're not gonna get into that college if you don't work harder, work harder, work harder, right? And so we learn that, and we incorporate and be like, I gotta work harder, I gotta do better, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it just, I think that, and like many things, there are many support systems that initially they started out as something protective, right?
Hmm.
Like, I really, let's say you decide that you're going to skip your latte every day, right? And you're going to save that money. Like, hey, I want to save money. I want to get a new car, or I have to go to school. And so I'm going to skip my latte and save that money, right? That
Right.
starts out as protective, right? It's a goal. It's like, hey, it's okay. But taken to the extreme, we pull that forward like, hey, I can't buy a single thing outside of my house.
Hmm.
I can't occasionally treat myself to a latte or a macchiato, whatever you want,
Hmm.
because I have to save every penny, and that breeds scarcity. And if you do, let's say you're out with friends and everyone's going for coffee. And then there's that internal dialogue of like, should I have that coffee? I shouldn't have that coffee. But everyone's having the coffee. And so that protection, that not that protection, but that strategy that at some point worked for us,
Yeah.
we've pulled it forward, so now it's working against us.
Okay. So it can start as something as small as one little area in your life, and then it can branch or get bigger and just kind of encompass other things. And so,
Absolutely.
okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. So once you've identified some of these patterns, how do you help others move past them?
We look at where the thoughts are coming from. Like, first is how do these behaviors make you feel? Right? So if you're thinking about, we'll just take the coffee example, right? If you're thinking about going out and spending $5 on a cup of coffee, right? How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel nervous, scared, anxious, right?
Mm-hmm.
We look at that thought and decide, do we believe the thought? Does the thought serve us in some way? Where does that thought come from? Why are we choosing to think whatever the thought is? Like, I can't spend an extra dime. I've got to save every penny. Coffee is overpriced. I mean, whatever it is, right? I'm not spending $5 on water and milk. I mean, whatever the thought is.
Okay.
looking at that, and for me, and one of the foundational philosophies around the life coach school, which isn't just unique to them,
Okay.
is, and it's very in keeping also with mindful meditation, is that it to become the non-judgmental observer of your thoughts.
Mhm.
And the key to that is non-judgmental.
Yes.
So yes, if I think I don't want to spend $5 on flavored water and milk, it's okay.
Yeah.
I can think that way. I'm going to look at that thought and objectively say, do I believe that thought?
Mhm.
Is it serving me? And then decide, yeah, I want to keep it. Like, no, I don't want to spend $5 on that. Or say, nah, it doesn't serve me. I'm moving on. I'm going to choose to think something else.
So one of the keys is, it sounds like, not beating up on yourself if you have these
Yeah,
thoughts. These
exactly.
thoughts. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So how do you define joy? Is it a thought, a feeling, emotion, something else, all
To
three?
me, joy is a feeling.
Mhm.
It's a feeling that, creates a vibration in my body that really just is somewhere that I could sit with and sit in forever.
And what brings you joy? When do you feel the most joy?
I mean, certainly, what you said earlier, which was, the hot cup of coffee, like just having a hot cup of coffee in, a quiet place, especially in the mornings before anybody wakes up. To me, and I could give a lot of examples, but just as I'm reflecting on it right now, the summary is that I find joy in the small things. Joy doesn't come from the house I live in, the car I drive, the paycheck I get. Joy comes from when my youngest daughter sits in my lap in the morning
Yes.
and asks me to look up because her like the school lunch,
Hmm.
you can look at the menu.
Yes.
Every morning she goes to school, she asks me, "What's for lunch today?" She sits in my lap. We look it up. That's joy.
Yes. That is special. Those special,
Yeah.
unique little moments in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You hold on to those because
Yes.
those are the ones that really, those are, to me, those are the things that really matter.
Mhm. Yeah. Yes. And focusing on that, if that's where your attention goes, then that's where you get more tuned to. So you're focused on paying attention to the little things. You're going to naturally
Right.
probably more
Right.
be observant
Right.
and catch more and more of those moments when they come.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's based on your thought about that moment.
Hmm.
Because she's sitting in my lap, right? I wake up early. I work from home.
Okay.
I wake up early to start to get some work done while
Yeah.
everyone's asleep. Because
Yeah.
I know I'm going to get interrupted
Hmm.
when they get dressed and then they have to go to school.
Right.
So I could choose to think she's interrupting my work.
Ah.
She
Yes.
shouldn't be sitting on my lap.
Hmm.
She's not supposed to be here. She should be playing by herself until it's time to go to school,
Right.
right?
Right.
But that's going to bring up feelings of impatience,
Yes.
resentment,
Yes.
maybe a little frustration.
Hmm.
And I don't want to start my morning that way.
Yes.
So instead, I find thoughts and I'm like, this is such a special time.
Hmm.
She won't always want to sit in my lap.
Yes.
And that brings me joy.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. And it sounds like you're at that moment in that example, you're starting from a quiet place. You said in the morning, so you're already kind of quieted down, so you can actually hear better, maybe your feel or hear your
Yeah.
thoughts or your feelings, and because you're quiet inside, so that kind of makes a
Yes.
big difference.
Yeah.
Versus maybe later when so many things are coming at you and you're just kind of scattered. You can
Yeah.
be in that space where
Just thinking it all about all the things that come out. Like, yeah, it's completely at like 6:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Very different space. Very different in my house.
yes. Yes, I would say I can only imagine. And I think that's true. As all of us get going in the day, so many things can come at you from different ways that could pull your attention here or there that may steer you away from those like small, quiet moments you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. Could you please maybe share with us a story about a fun time that you had with your family, a vacation, or maybe something in your business?
Again, like going to those small, like quiet moments. So we chose to vacation and go to Florida
Mhm.
for Christmas of 2020.
Mhm.
And if anybody's watching this in the future that doesn't realize, like, that was controversial. Like,
Right.
do you travel or do you not travel?
Yes.
But for reasons of my own sanity, I said no. I need to leave Chicago. I'm in Chicago. I need to leave the cold weather. I need to
Hmm.
go someplace warm.
Hmm.
So we chose. I found an Airbnb
Hmm.
that had a heated pool,
Hmm.
and I mean it was heated. It wasn't warm, but it
Okay.
certainly wasn't heated. But you know that time that we had together,
Hmm.
the girls loved being in the pool. They were in the pool like every day.
Hmm.
We're hanging out. I wasn't always super happy to be in the pool, but I was in the pool because it was important to them and it was
Uh-huh.
time to be together with them.
Yeah.
And my oldest at that time, they were 11, 9, and 6,
Okay.
right? Well, no, I think my oldest, it was December, so she was already 12,
Uh-huh.
12, 9, and 6, right?
Okay.
And the 12-year-old, like, very rarely wants anything to do with the like, younger two. But the times that all three of them were in the pool,
Hmm.
if and they came to me and said, "Mommy, come to the pool," there was no way I was going to say no. There
Right.
was no way I was going to say no. And it was so special. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. Catching again those snippets in time, those one moments that, like you said, it
That's
may
it.
not ever configure to have that happen again.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
no way you were going to pass that up.
Right. There was no way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, wow. So this may be the same question. You may have a different answer, but I'm wondering about a time in your life. You've already spoken about several that have brought you so much pleasure, but maybe another one that brought you so much pleasure that you wish you could repeat it.
But I wish I could repeat it.
Hmm.
Let me think. Another one that brought me so much pleasure. Well, we went on this cruise. I'll tell you one that was actually, we went on this cruise.
Hmm.
It was for my 50th birthday.
Hmm.
It was a really nice cruise. It was 8 days. I splurged for like the junior suite,
Uh-huh.
which means we got to eat in this like special restaurant for dinner.
Oh, nice.
Like it was so nice. It was just so nice. It was a little bit, of a splurge, like I said.
Hmm.
A little bit of a luxury, a little bit of an indulgence. But we had such a great time and the weather was beautiful. And you go to the Caribbean and I still have like actually for my work like profile picture
Yeah.
is me with like the Bahamas in the back, no, the Bermuda in the background. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and every time I see that picture, I'm brought back to that moment, that vacation,
Yeah.
and it brings back all those same feelings of just happiness and fun,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Which to me is a little different than joy, right? Just fun and joy are just, they're similar, but
Hmm.
fun just has a little more upbeatness. And so every time I see that picture, it
Hmm.
just brings back fun.
It sounds like, from what you've said so far, is that um, part of the thing that really is makes it fun, or the happiness and joy is when you get to have a new experience, maybe in a new environment. Because you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
things can be
Yeah.
so busy and chaotic at home. When you get to go
Yeah.
out and get to a new environment, that can really spark some things.
Yeah. 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 That is true. Yeah.
Hmm.
We'll
Yeah.
change the scenery.
Change of scenery. Yeah. Change of scenery brings a change of energy, which can
Yes.
fuel all kind of amazing
Absolutely.
things.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Vacations can be magical. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so how about a time when you maybe were feeling down and something happened that lifted you up, either a change of mindset, an event, or something that brought you back up after kind of feeling kind of low?
Yeah. With my dad, he's 85 and he lives with us. And so sometimes that can be a challenge. And I realized I did some thought work on, what was going on and why I was sometimes feeling frustrated and sad. And I made the conscious decision that I didn't like the way I treated him sometimes. And so I intentionally started, and not every day, but there are many days when I don't just give him a kiss in the morning,
Hmm.
but I give him a big hug. And my dad's like a big hugger. He can give me a huge bear hug. He's a very affectionate person.
Hmm.
And that, I mean, obviously it's a we're not skin to skin, but it's a physical touch, it's a
Yeah.
surge of oxytocin.
Hmm.
I know it's important to him. Not important to him, but I know how much it means to him,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And just by doing that, when I'm able to do that, it feels great. It really feels great.
Joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I totally, for people who are comfortable,
Hmm.
being physically affectionate with the people who they love,
Yep.
I highly recommend it because it does. It helps you. It helps. You help yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because not only does it feel good, but then the oxytocin that released just is positive reinforcement of that good feeling. And
Yes.
so if you're comfortable hugging or touching or holding hands, with the people who you love, then I recommend it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that because not only do you get the physical part of it, but you also get the emotional part of it that comes along
Yeah.
with the love you're sending, not through words, but just through the touch itself.
Yeah.
So, oh,
Yeah.
that's great. That's awesome. I love that. All right. Can you recall a time maybe that you just erupted into spontaneous laughter? Like it just came out of you, you couldn't control it, just was so joyful in that
Oh,
moment.
you know, it's not totally spontaneous, but it's related to a like there's a cartoon that my oldest daughter loves
Okay.
called it is called Teen Titans Go.
It's called what? Say it again.
Teen Titans Go.
Okay. Teen Titans Go. All right.
I think it was in Teen Titans Go.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been another one. But I'm thinking it was Teen Titans Go. And so it's a it's one of these cartoons that's made for kids, but it's very adult. It has also a lot of adult undertones.
Mm-hmm.
And there are just a couple. They're not even episodes. They're just like words and spots
Okay.
that I mean, I'm just thinking about some of them now, and I want like so. It's so good, yet
Yeah.
it's so stupid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like one of them, they talk about how they talk about daylight savings, and they
Okay.
have a probably 3-minute diatribe about how they have to save the daylight. Save the daylight from the angry farmer who is like threatening the daylight. I mean, I can't do it justice. It's hilarious. Hilarious.
Oh,
And
that's
so there are little scenes like that if I that like will just something will like spark it in my mind and I'll just start laughing.
I mean, that's so good because it's like you enjoyed it at the moment you saw it, and now even just the thought of it brings it back.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
makes you
Yeah.
laugh again.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a 2-for-1, right? You get more joy.
Yeah. And I just enjoy, like, I relive the moment where I'm
Yeah,
like sort of in disbelief
yeah.
about this conversation on this show, and I'm like, this is the dumbest conversation I have ever seen on a show. It's hilarious. And it's a cartoon.
Wow. I'm gonna have to look that up. That's great.
Yeah, yeah,
I love
yeah. The
that.
daylight savings is definitely Teen Titans Go. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and where is this? This is on, is this
I
a,
think it's on the Cartoon Network.
oh, okay, on TV. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. That's awesome. I love all these gems.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So let's, feeling good. What puts you into the flow state? You know, and things are just clicking along and easy and you feel productive, and what kind of gets you into the zone?
Usually it's again like it's the quiet.
Mhm.
And I usually I like it in the morning. Like it's usually like in the morning when it's quiet and I'm inspired by I need inspiration by something. Maybe it's an idea or I'm reading. I like to read. I'm still like a book reader sometimes. And so if I really get into a book, especially around mental health,
Mhm.
right now I'm focusing on people with like physicians that have another disability like ADHD, learning disorders, and dyslexia.
Mhm.
And so reading about adults with learning disorders or ADHD, it's
Mhm.
very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. And so, how would you say that feeling good has helped you be more successful?
Oh, well, I mean, again, it goes back to not beating yourself up,
Right.
right? If I don't, I enjoy the process of, um, I enjoy the process of self improvement much more if I know I'm not going to beat myself up because then I'm not afraid of failure,
Mm-hmm.
right? If I'm worried that by failing,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to beat myself up, I'm
Yep.
not going to do it,
Yes.
right? Because then not only have I failed, but I also am, treating myself badly.
Yes.
So by knowing that I always have my own back,
Mm-hmm.
I always support myself no matter what the outcome is,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm more willing to put myself out there to stretch myself.
Yes. Yes. So it's like, I love how you said you have your own back.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, so you're not
Yeah.
afraid to take risks or to take chances or
Right.
to try
Right.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. Because if I fail, I'm like, that didn't work. Try again.
Well, and then it's not really a failure, really. It's just
Right. It's just
something.
learn. It's just a data point, as my boss says. Like, no, it's just a data point.
Data point. I love that. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what life's about, collecting a bunch of data points, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Because if we
Exactly.
hold ourselves back and we don't get out there, then it's kind of like boring, right? You don't have anything that's really exciting in
Yeah.
life or,
And then you live with regret. And who wants to live with regret?
yes, exactly.
Right?
That's, yeah, no good. No good.
Right. Put
All
yourself
right.
out there. Try.
Yeah, I love that. It's really all about perspective and kind of
Absolutely.
how, yes, and going back to what you said earlier, how you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because
Yeah.
we're the ones that do the most talking to ourselves, right? Out of anybody in the world, we're going to talk to ourselves the most.
Yeah.
So.
And as humans, as far as we know, we're the only species in the animal kingdom that have the ability to think about our thoughts.
Good point. Yes.
So you can observe, again, it's becoming the observer of your thoughts.
Yes.
And you can decide to be the critical observer of your thoughts
Right.
or the non judgmental observer of your thoughts.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to say non judgmental
Amen.
helps you a lot more.
Yes. It just, yeah, it serves you more. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Well, you touched on a few, but do you have any daily practices or routines or habits that you do to connect to your joy? You mentioned the early
Well, I
morning.
do. So I journal every day. I do what's called a thought download every day.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helps me to, again, observe my thoughts, to see where my mind is. It helps me to quiet my brain before I go to sleep.
Okay.
I really like, as I said, like I'm a coffee drinker, and going back to the analogy of the latte, like I invested in a really nice coffee maker that makes really good coffee.
Okay.
So it's something I really enjoy.
Yes.
I just love a warm mug,
Yes.
right? Like I don't like those insulated cups. I
Uh,
like to feel the warmth
yes.
through the mug. And that is a small thing that just brings me joy every day.
And it's not that expensive.
No,
That's
no.
awesome.
Yeah, it's not hard.
No, it's not hard. It's not
Yeah.
complicated. It's not expensive. It's the little things.
Right. And it's usually quiet.
Quiet and connecting to the quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that.
And I think it's also appreciating
Mm-hmm.
that that is what brings me joy.
Yeah.
Like I understand and I am intentional.
Yes.
And when I experience it, I'm like, oh, this is good. Same thing with the bath. It's like, this makes me feel good.
Yes.
Right? I could choose to just take a shower. It's faster, it's easier, it's, but sometimes I'm like, no, I really want that. I really want to just feel that quiet joy of sitting in a hot tub.
Yes. I so hear you on that. I love baths.
Yeah.
It's like something magical happens when you're just being quiet, like
Yeah.
you said, and you're just relaxing in the warm water. You just feel so good and you can just let go. And it's just, yeah, I hear you 100% on the baths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely perfect. Yep.
This is all really good stuff. Do you have any tips maybe that you can give others to help them find their joy?
I think that the best way to find your joy is to, again, quietly observe what you're thinking. What are the thoughts that bring you joy the most? And find ways to think those as often as possible. Right? So if you find joy in, gardening, if you find joy in, like the smell of like fresh flowers, right? How can you experience that as often as possible? And when you are experiencing it, be intentional and say, I love this. I love standing in my garden or in the wherever you are, like in the forest or wherever, and just smelling the flowers, the trees, whatever it is.
Yes. So yeah, and recognizing it and appreciating it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a much more eloquent way of putting it than I put it. Recognizing it and appreciating it.
No, that's great. I love it. It's the key to the inner kingdom of joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great. Oh my God, Krystal, you're awesome. I could talk to you all day, but I know you don't have all day. So thank you so much for being here. And where can people find you? Where can people find out more about what you do and what you love doing and connect with you?
Yeah. So the best way is to email me at Krystal, Krystal, at lifecoachingforgifted.com. And it's all one word. Facebook is the same. Instagram is the same. I'm not on Instagram too much, but I'm sure if you send me a direct message, email is the best way. Lifecoachingforgifted.com is the website. You can read some blog. I don't put up tons of blogs, but you can find me there. LinkedIn, just under my name, Krystal Sodatis. So all those platforms. I'm also on Clubhouse. I just listen mostly. I don't really post a lot in Clubhouse, or like they don't host rooms in Clubhouse. And I don't think they have a direct messaging way. I don't think that you can direct message on Clubhouse, but you can follow me or we can connect there if you so fit. But yeah, I'd love to, I really focus on people who are gifted or what's called twice exceptional. And twice exceptional is someone who is gifted in a particular area, but also has another disability,
Mhm.
especially a learning related disability like ADHD or autism, dyslexia, dysgraphia, because there's a lot of many people, especially if they're gifted, were diagnosed later in life as adults, sometimes even because their child was diagnosed, and so they see some of the features and get diagnosed themselves.
Mhm.
And along with that, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot of shame.
Yes.
And like I said earlier, there are a lot of habits and coping strategies that you developed as a child. If you're a child, if as a child you had dyslexia, undiagnosed, you had to develop some coping strategies to get through school. So many of those coping strategies you brought through to adulthood and they no longer serve you.
Mm.
And so unpacking some of that, um, that's a population I absolutely love to work with.
That sounds
So if
amazing.
you're out there and you think you're twice exceptional or you know you're twice exceptional and you're having trouble, you're struggling in any way, I would love to work with you.
Yes, I'm sure definitely that there are people who would just really, really benefit by that. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much for doing what you do.
You're welcome. Great talking to you.
Talking to you. Thank you again. And you have a wonderful day. Mwah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.